Hey you guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel where I inform you, educate you, and help you stay inspired. So with that being said, I'm just a messenger. So good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. It is going on 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today is Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. So with that being said, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much. And for those of you who are just stopping by, I'm a spiritual healer, intuitive leader, or inspirational teacher, So with that being said, I suggest and advise information from a personal place of experience, what has helped me along my journey, good and bad, self-reflection, and taking every single day for what it is. So that being said, I do not tell people what to do or how to feel. If these messages and videos resonate with you, I suggest and advise that you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're commenting down below and make sure to subscribe by turning on your notification bell. And if they don't, that you continue to live your best life and don't forget to stay YOLO. So for today's video, we will go over and discuss, what are we going to discuss for today? What is the best version of myself? So something that I like to do is use natural resources as well as informative information. And the reason why I like to use natural resources and informative information is because I don't know everything. I am an individual on earth. I am a spiritual being possessing a soul inside of a physical body. So that being said, I only know what I know and I know what I've experienced. If I haven't experienced it personally for myself, I use natural resources such as the internet, dictionaries, opportunity and experiences in everyday life experiences through perspective. So with that being said, life is about perspective and healing is a choice. So is suffering. So there's no right or wrong way to heal as long as you're willing to apply yourself and you apply yourself to the best abilities. So that being said, everyone in the world does not have the same tools, the resources, financially, emotionally, to support you as well as geographically. I do apologize, you guys. I'm extremely tired and I just came back from an appointment. So for today's video, we're going to go over and discuss what is the best version of myself. So I like to break down keywords from the title/topic by using a dictionary and thesaurus. And the reason why I like to do that is, like I've stated, everyone in life does not have the same information as well as resources. So when it comes to healing and understanding what is going to best resonate with you, I like to break down keywords from the title/topic to generalize this information. So with that being said, this information is for the general. I do one-on-one individuals on my Instagram and Twitter at Ty_guidance. And just knowing that when it comes to you healing, listening and using your discernment. So if someone like myself is resonating with you, that you continue to be patient and, knowing that just like healing or grieving, it's a process and that there's no right or wrong way to do so and that it takes time, as well as being patient and not being so hard on yourself. So using the dictionary and the source to break down the keywords slash title/topic is for people to be reassured and have a better understanding. And once again, I do apologize if you see me looking away. There's a light right here. I'm trying to look at the camera, and I also have a black crack. I just have a lot going on right now, you guys, but it's okay. So when it comes to being the best version of yourself, what is the best version of yourself? What I want to suggest and advise is, honestly, that's going to be up for you. So this video is going to be slightly different. Usually I suggest and advise information. Like I said, use a dictionary and thesaurus as well as factual information, and I, say what needs to be said. And the reason why, once again, I suggest and advise information is because you can't tell people what to do. Everyone in life feels differently and everyone suffers from, their resources, from lacking information or having information. So everyone's not privileged, but everyone is not in poverty. Everyone, may have finances and some people don't. Everyone is different. So learning to understand being the best version of yourself is something that you have to do internally, just like healing. So as a spiritual healer, I'm just here to suggest and advise, one-on-one counseling, of course, but it's up to you to, apply the information and understand what resonates with you and what's going to work for you. So understanding how you become the best version of yourself, like what that means to you, is knowing who you are. So embracing good and bad. So on this channel, I speak from place of experience. I've talked about my past, my present, and my future. I talked about my pros and my cons, as well as what has helped me along my journey and things that I had to learn from. So knowing, just like everybody else in life, nobody asks to be born. So immediately, this channel, how I am and how I carry myself, I'm very honest. I'm not going to say brutally honest or transparent, because when you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth. And I know a lot of people may not be used to people being honest or having honest intentions, but for me, what I've realized, what has helped me along my journey, it takes too much to be something that I'm not, as well as wanting to be something that I'm not. So me coming on here suggesting, advising how you become the best version of yourself, like I said, is accepting, what you've gone through, and knowing that if you've lacked knowledge, you don't have guidance, you may be ignorant, and you don't have opportunity, finances, or emotional support, that one, you're not alone, and two, that it is okay. So being the best version of yourself for you is just gonna understand, what you've gone through in your past, where you are right now in your present, and in your future. So one thing I want to suggest and advise when it comes to understanding that is acknowledging, accepting, adapting, and action. So I say the 4 A's. So when it comes to being the best version of yourself and what that means to you, one thing I do want to suggest and advise for the collective and anybody who's returning is to go ahead and purchase yourself a notebook, a diary, or some form of journal. And it could look like this, it could look like this, or it could look like this. And the reason why I want everyone to go ahead and purchase themselves a notebook or a journal is to, one, to document their thoughts as well as their emotions, as well as taking the time to get to know themselves. The reason for this journal and the notebook for you to get to know yourself and to have self-reflection of your thoughts is if emotionally, let's just say you're suffering from PTSD, you're suffering from anxiety, you're suffering from ADHD, and you don't feel vulnerable or feel comfortable to express yourself, or you may not have the support, writing down is a track record as well as a document. So when you're able to write down your thoughts and your feelings, what I've realized, what has helped me along my journey, is understanding a pattern as well as your thought process. So our thoughts are going to consume our everyday experiences, whether we're suffering or we're having a good or bad day. Learning to understand why you think the way you do and how you're able to change your mind and move forward and have a better attitude is, first things first, acknowledging it. So when you're able to acknowledge your thoughts, whether they're good or bad, whether you're suffering, whether you're depressed, like I said, whatever you're going through, you're able to regulate and understand necessarily, the projection, because that's all people do. So when people are speaking, when people are saying things to you, whether they're negative or positive, it's a form of projection. So what I mean by that, people only know what they've been exposed to. So if, for example, myself, I was born and raised on the East Coast, specifically New York City. I've lived in Maryland. I lived in 7 other states, and I've traveled to 22 different states throughout the country, and I've been outside of the country. If other people who watch this channel, didn't live in this certain environment that I have, or haven't had certain backgrounds, or haven't traveled, they only know what they're familiar with. So for example, Monday through Friday, Saturday through Sunday, December through January. If you don't know that it is more than that from your everyday life, physically, wherever you live, whether you live in a small town or a big town, you may not understand when it comes to your mind and healing yourself that there are no limits. And it's not to say naturally people limit themselves because they want to, but some people may not know how. So when it comes to healing, some people may not have, emotional intelligence. Some people may not have, like I said, financially the support to go to a therapist, or geographically, depending on where they live, their certain environment, what they see. So when it comes to being the best version of yourself, if you're able to write down how you feel, you're able to understand necessarily, how certain situations affect you. Everyone in life is going to go through things. Everyone in life is going to suffer, and everyone in life is going to experience trauma. The trauma is going to be based off of, once again, the resources, where you live, what you're exposed to, and your opportunities. It doesn't invalidate people's situations and what people have gone through, but everyone is not the same. So when it comes to being the best version of yourself, another thing I'm going to suggest and advise is getting to know yourself and accepting the fact that you're not where you need to be, or that you've experienced trauma, that you experienced suffering, that you have gone through certain things, but as long as you don't limit yourself, that it is possible for you to heal yourself. And you being the best version of yourself, what is the best version of myself, is for you to understand. I'm just here to suggest and advise information for you guys to practice and apply, and if it resonates with you, so you're able to understand every day how it affects you. And another thing I want to suggest and advise when it comes to writing down how you feel is making a pros and a cons list. The reason why I suggest and advise making a pros and a cons list is because in order for you, what I want to suggest and advise to understand how to become the best version of yourself, you have to be familiar with yourself. So getting to know what you like, whether it's opportunities, experiences, jobs, people, music, food, entertainment, is really important, because in order for you to align yourself, in order to understand your purpose, or to figure out what it is, if you choose to come across these videos and heal, you have to, one, know what is real and what is intentional. Your heart and your mind, what I want to suggest and advise, really has to be aligned when it comes to, being in your purpose and understanding the direction that you want for yourself. So understanding that when it comes to living life, you want to be as authentic and original. And being authentic and original is whatever you allow that to be. So just like how I was reading the words from the dictionary and the source last year, specifically and strategically, once again, it was to refresh and to reassure you guys, not to break down the word for you to pinpoint every single word from the dictionary and define it and feel like, oh, well, this word means this and this word means that. No, not to be content with the label or the title, because that's all words are, that's all labels are, and that's all the dictionary is. It's just words. So when it comes to healing yourself supernaturally on a, spiritual level, for those who may not be aware of themselves, learning different perspectives, understanding, what is working for you, and that your mindset affects the results as well as your reality. So if you're in an environment where it could be negative or it's toxic and people only know what they know and you want to move forward, you want to do better, taking time to figure out necessarily the steps and the directions. So when it comes to life, you guys, one thing I do want to suggest and advise is that our lives and how things happen can go two ways. Excuse me. And as this year continues to grow, I will be elaborating a lot more. As of right now, I'm just trying to get the content out for you guys. But I want to say that there are two paths that most people can take. You can take in the flesh, so the 3D, physical and material, or you can take the supernatural. And that's the path I'm on right now, is supernatural. So what I mean by that, supernaturally knowing that spirituality is the universe. The universe is where we live. And a lot of people may not be aware of that because, once again, I live in America, and how the world is set up and how history has been false and projected. It's a lot of information that a lot of people are not aware of, as well as understanding their worth and who they are. So if a lot of people are distracted and have been informed and programmed certain information, when it comes to really knowing who you are, you have to take some form of reflection as well as processing. And once again, on this channel, because I suggest and advise information, everyone does not process information the same way. I don't expect people to process information the same way. So when it comes to you figuring out, what is the best version of myself, taking some time to yourself. That's another thing I want to suggest and advise after you're able to write down how you feel, if you don't verbally confine in others, or if you're not able to surround yourself, or if you need to isolate yourself. And that's another thing too, like learning to be okay with being alone. Like, I'm not saying that people need to be lonely, but there is nothing wrong with being alone. To be honest, one thing that's helped me along my journey is to become the best version of myself. And what that means to me was isolating myself. It's not to say that I can't be around people, places, and things, because unfortunately those things all exist. I'm not the only person on the planet. But realizing how people, places, and things affect me and what I want for myself. In order for me to move forward in the future, I have to be in the present moment, but I also had to have a past. And just like any and everybody, anyone here, I've made naive decisions, meaning I've lacked, guidance. I didn't have, peers or, emotional intelligence or the support as well as information. That's why I educate you guys. And it's not to prove a point or to think that I know everything, but I like to give factual information so you guys can use your discernment. You can go back and be like, well, Ty said this, and how does this resonate with me? And checking the knowledge for yourself. A lot of people get information, they hear information, and they run with it. You don't want to believe anything that anybody is telling you, including myself. And it's not to say that I'm something that I'm not, but I do believe the purpose of time is to tell. So that's why I like to tell people, like, I don't explain myself to people. I don't argue with people. I try to understand people. And that's another thing. When it comes to being the best version of yourself, the more you practice, the more you take time for yourself, the more you realize what's working for you, how you feel, what you've gone through, and, allowing that to process, the more likely it is you're able to understand the direction and what it is that you want for yourself. So me not explaining myself, I don't need to. If people disagree with me and they're not willing to understand me, I don't suggest and advise you surrounding yourself with people and places and things that are not, intentionally trying to get to know you. Now, if someone doesn't know you and they're curious and, you're getting to know them, that's cool. But if someone is blatantly showing you, whether it's emotionally, financially, consciously, intuitively, verbally, that they're not, trying to align themselves with you or understanding you, putting time and energy into people, places, and things is not going to help you become the best version of yourself. So something I like to do is get a pair of handy dandy scissors and remove and cut off anybody, whether it's a mom, a dad, a dog, a coworker, your Uber driver, your dentist, and taking a step back, because when you are becoming the best version of yourself, and honestly speaking, you have to be, authentic. You have to be intentional when it comes to doing that. So if you have made certain decisions, whether they were negative, whether they were positive, one, you don't want to allow your circumstances and your situations to define you. So you have to realize that if you've done things in your past, or you had a rough past, or you didn't, have an understanding of how you wanted to do things, that it's okay, as long as you're able to learn from it, as long as you're able to grow and you realize what you've gone through. The purpose of, life is, learning. The more you're able to learn and experience for yourself, the more, you're able to understand, what you want to do in this world, because everyone doesn't have to do certain things or be at a certain place at a certain time. But in order for you to be the best version of yourself, you have to know what you want. You can't worry about what other people are doing, especially if they're not able to better themselves. And if you want to better yourself and everyone else around you doesn't want to better themselves, you don't need to allow people to hinder you. And it's not to say that you can't love your family, you love your friends. It's okay to have people in your life that you once knew, but if these people really care about you and they support you, you want to be connected with people that are reflections of you. You want to surround yourself with people who have similar values, if not having a purpose of what it is that you want for yourself. And if not, knowing that what you focus on, your time and energy, is who you consume yourself with. So being the best version of yourself, and what is the best version of myself and yourself, is for you. So taking your time, practicing daily, like I said, purchasing a notebook, and getting to know yourself. And how you do that, next day off, like I said, get your notebook, write down your pros and your cons, as well as needs and wants, or take some time to yourself. If you have hobbies, if you have interests, or if you're suffering from depression, you're suffering from anxiety, and you don't want to talk to nobody, allow your emotions to be what they are. So really quickly, before I end this video, what I want to say when it comes to being the best version of yourself and when it comes to healing is that, one, you have to acknowledge. So if you're upset, if you're mad, you're angry, you're frustrated, be those things. Then once you're able to acknowledge, accept that you're mad, you're frustrated, you're sad, those are all adjectives. It's okay. We all get mad, we all get sad. If you're a human being, you're going to have emotions, you're going to feel. After you're able to accept that you were mad, sad, angry, I want you to understand to go ahead and realize how you can start adapting. Once you're able to acknowledge that you went through some pain, you're able to accept and do it when you choose to. Healing is a process. There's no right or wrong way. You take your time. So if you feel like you're doing good today and you want to take a break tomorrow, do that. If you want to yell and scream and shout today and you want to not do anything tomorrow, do that. And lastly, you take action. But knowing that it's a process. It is a process, you guys. So don't rush, don't compare, and do what works for you as much as you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Live your life, and don't forget to say hello.